Welcome to AWS class 3, and we are exploring EC2 part 2. These are the topics we are going to cover in this class: placement groups, Hibernate, ENI, and IPv4, IPv6, Elastic IP. So in EC2 dashboard, we are going to explore some of the options called placement groups. We have three types of placement groups: cluster, spread, and partition. Cluster is nothing but instances are created in the same availability zone. If you go with the spread placement group, you can create instances over availability zones. There is no limit that you can create instances only in this availability zone. Partition is in a similar hardware. We are going to do some partitions. Let us do practical. I already in AWS management console, go to services and then go to EC2. Here we are going to create first placement groups. You can find option placement groups. Under network and security, you can find placement groups. Create placement groups. So let's say it is placement group 1. So see here we have cluster, spread, and partition. Cluster is nothing but in the same hardware we are creating instances, and it exists only in, to that particular availability zone. So I'm creating cluster replacement group. If you want to add tags, you can add create group. In a similar way, we can create one more placement group, and this is placement group 2, and this time you can create a spread. So our instances are going to spread all over availability zones based on the selection, so that our instances will be high availability. If one of the availability zone is failed, instances are available in another availability zone. For critical applications, we always choose spread. So we can create one more placement group. This time partitions. So we can make a partitions in our availability zone. You can provide number of partitions you require. I can choose 2, and this is also it is also available for the purpose of high availability. And if any hardware failure occurs, we can go with another availability zone. And also you can choose partition. If one of the partition failed, the instances available in another partition also. So create a group. Once placement groups are created, you can go instances and you can create instances and attach the instance for the required placement group. Launch instance. Next, configure instance details. Here I can attach placement groups. So there is option called placement group. Add instance to the placement group. Add existing placement group. So I can attach to either cluster, partition, or spread. If you go with cluster, if availability zone fails, your instance is also going to be fail. That means if any critical application is installed, that application cannot be available for the users. So always better to go for either spread or partition. As of now, I'm installing my instance in placement group called cluster. Next, add storage. Next, add tags. Configure security groups. So I can choose an existing or default or create. I am going to create launch wizard 1. Next, rather than custom, I will allow anywhere. Review and launch. Create a key pair. download, keep a. So this is simple demonstration how to create placement groups in EC2 dashboard and how to attach your instance to that placement group. Then what is next topic means Hibernate. Hibernate is like whenever if you stop the instance and start the instance, our RAM is going to be refresh. Means system will be turned off for that particular time. When if you use Hibernate, system cannot be stopped permanently. So it will be running in the background so that we can cache that memory also. So that is the advantage of Hibernate. Let's see how to create a Hibernate also. So for that, launch instance, select, and then configure instance details. Here we can choose the Hibernate options. So shutdown behavior. So here we shutdown behavior, not shutdown behavior. Enable Hibernate as an additional stop behavior. We can choose this one. Then go with add storage. So to use Hibernate, encrypt the root volume. It is very important to encrypt the root volume. So I will choose Amazon default encryption, default AWS EBS. Next, add tags. So I will choose existing one, and this is launch wizard one. Review and launch. Launch instance, view instance. So what is the benefit of this means if you stop and start the instance, it is still is going to be running. That is the advantage of Hibernate. We can see practically once this instance is fully up running. Refresh it. So it is running, and go to connect. I need SSH. So I will take this SSH and git bash here. It is taking much time. Why it is taking much time? What is the reason I have to? Okay. Mumbai region. I have problem with Mumbai region. I will switch to Singapore. So I will create instance here to show Hibernate practically. Select and then configure instance details. Enable Hibernate as an additional stop behavior. Next, add storage. Here we need to choose default AWS EBS. Next, add tags. Configure security groups. And then anywhere review and launch. Create a key pair, and it is key pair 19. Download key pairs, and then launch instance, view instance. So instance is running fully, and then connect, take SSH, and then bash here. Yes. So I connected to my instance successfully. Here I will execute the command uptime. So uptime is 0 minutes. So 0. So my server is that this instance is up 0 minutes. If I execute now, uptime, so still 0 minutes. If you wait for 1 minute, it is going to read here 0 minutes. Let us wait for some time. It is previously it is 7:18:13. Now it is 7:18:26. So wait for some more seconds so that we will execute one more time uptime command. Now it is 1 minute. So my instance is up for the past 1 minute. Now what I will do, I am going to stop the instance. So before stopping the instance, see the time here, 7:18:53. So what I will do, go to instances. I will stop the instance. I will wait for 1 minute. After stopping instance, I will wait for 1 minute. Instance is still stopping. To feel the concept of Hibernate, I'm doing this. Let us observe the difference here. What is the advantage of Hibernate? So instance is stopped. I will wait at least for 1 minute. Instance is stopped now. Let us wait for 1 minute. Some more time. So there is a time lapse between stop and start. So the time lapse also, in the time lapse also, the instance will be up and running. That is the advantage of Hibernate. So let some more seconds read. It is 12:50 in my laptop. Let it come to 12:51. Once, yeah, it is now. It is 12:51. Now I'm going to start the instance once again. So it is status is pending. It is starting. Instance is starting. So instance is running successfully. If you go now again, if you execute uptime here, before that, let me SSH to my instance. As instance is stopped, command copied, and then clear. Before rather than clear, let let it be, so that we can see previous time also. Yes. So instance is connected. See here, 7/18/53 instance is up for 1 minute. Now if I execute same command uptime, see the magic here. It is 0 seconds. Why it is showing 0 seconds? It is Hibernate, right? Instances and instance, Hibernate instance. Yeah, instance is hibernated successfully. So instance is stopped now. If you go start once again, so in between this time lapse, in between 1 minute time lapse, still it is going to be what happened? Instance is upright. Okay, let me take SSH. Why means when you stop and start the instance, the public IP is going to be changed every time. Paste and then S. If you execute now uptime, see it is up 3 minutes. See, even though we have stopped and start, still it is reading the time 7:24:33. If you see up here, it is 7:22. It is 7:22:11. 0 minutes. It is now 7:24. So time is still running. That is the advantage of Hibernate. So even though if you stop the machine, cache is going to be stored in our 30 GB EBS volume. That is the advantage of Hibernate. So we have seen the demo on placement groups and Hibernate. Next, elastic network interface. What is the advantage of elastic? Not the advantage. What is elastic network interface means? It enables network connectivity to our instance. Whenever if you create an instance, there is a elastic network interface. Automatically by default, it is going to be created. Go to EC2 dashboard. You can find ENI's elastic network interfaces. So if there is an instance, there is a elastic network interface by default. Why means it is required? Why it is required means it enables network connectivity to our instances, right? Without network, we cannot do anything. So if you want to create, you can create our own network interface and you can attach our elastic network interface to the instance. This is a way to create. So let me create. So description is not required. You can subnet, you can choose AP South or anything where you want to create, and then elastic fabric adapter not required, and remaining things group ID. You can attach the security group while creating the ENI and create network interface. So once network interface is created, so I have created with the same launch wizard, and subnet. So in use, so this is available. So available one you can attach to the instance. You can select actions, attach, choose the instance. This is the instance, attach. So this is a way to create your own ENIs. Next, IPv4 and IPv6. These are the IP addresses with versions. So if we are already aware of that IPv4 and IPv6. Here, whenever the instance is created, public IP and private IP is going to be initiated. See, if you select the, if you go to instances and then select the instance, you can find here public IP and private IP. So there is a public IPv4 and private IP. So what is this means? Private IP is used for internal communication. If the instances are available in the same network of our premise, by using internal IP address, communication can be established. If you want to communicate with externally, we always use public IP address. So this IP public IP address is temporary or ephemeral. Whenever if you stop and start the instance, this public address is going to be changed. Let me show, let me copy of this instance. I will keep here this one, Control V. This is the IP address. And now if I stop and start the instance, so whenever if you stop and start the instance, it is going to pick one more public IP address. So instance is stopped. Now I'm going to start once again. Start instance. If you refresh, it's creating, it is creating, it is creating, it is creating, it is creating. So it is running, it is fully and running. Now if you refresh one more time and select this one, what is this one? Public IP. Where is public IP? Still it is taking some time. Hey, let me take one more time this public IP address to show whenever instance is going to stop, it is going to pick one more public IP address. Let me copy here. Let me one more time. I will take. I will stop and start my instance. So this is a present public IP address of this instance. Now I am going to stop this instance, and once it is started, it is going to pick one more public IP address. It means it is temporary. Public address is temporary. So instance is stopped. Let me start once again. If you start the instance, once it is up, you can check public IP address. Instance is coming up, coming up. So it is running. And I will do hard refresh. Let's see this public IP address. It is going to pick one new public address compared to previous one. So select this one and see here. Now I will copy this. I will compare here side by side. See, this is the previous IP address. Now I will paste this one. So both are different. It is 65.0.131.229. It is 13.232.28.166. So that is a public IP address. If you want permanent IP address, go with elastic IP address. That is the concept of elastic IP. So if it is a ephemeral, go to elastic IPs. You can have one elastic IP. You can attach that elastic IP. But for free tier account, it is not available. It is going to be charged. Once you have created allocated elastic IP address, you have to attach compulsory to the instance. Then only you will be safe side. Otherwise, bill is going to be dispatch. So that's it for today's session. If you want permanent IP address, go with elastic IP addresses. And we have seen all these topics: placement groups, Hibernate, ENI, and importance of public IP address and elastic IP address. That's it. We meet with one more EC2 concept. Signing off.